Welcome back, Drew Lieske here with Orion Outdoors Company. Today we're going to take a quick look at the Fabarm L4S Sporting Clays semi-automatic shotgun. Let's take a look. Let's begin with the stock. So the Fabarm L4S, which is shown here, has a tri-wood stock. Tri-wood is the finish that they put on the stock. It is actually a Turkish walnut stock, but like a grade 1. Typically a stock that you wouldn't want to have on a shotgun just because it wasn't physically appealing. So what they do is they have a proprietary process at Fabarm called tri-wood, which is actually an inking process where they almost print on the walnut stock to give it this nice grain figure. Then that grain figure continues from all the way from the heel up into the pistol grip and then continued onto the forend. They're all relatively consistent in terms of the color and grain pattern, but they do differ in terms of how the grain is going to be oriented on the stock. So everyone is unique. Although the average color in terms of light versus dark is relatively consistent. The stock is going to have a nice checkering, laser engraved checkering on the pistol grip. The bottom and the top are a little bit different. The top is like a stippling. The bottom is just your traditional diamond checkering. That's on both sides of the gun. The L4S is available in both left and right-handed. So depending on which configuration you get, you'll have a left or right-handed palm swell, and they also offer left or right-handed ejection. As we move forward, we're going to see the receiver. The receiver is very plain, very simple, but quite elegant. Has some red accents. It says L4S Sporting. On the underside, hopefully you can see, there is like a cross weave laser engraving pattern that's on the underside of the receiver. It's continued on the opposite side of the receiver. One thing that's really unique about the L4S shotgun is the extended controls. We have an extended bolt handle here, which is red, very big, I'd say probably an inch in length. And then the bolt release is not on the action side of this gun, which is very different than most semi-automatics. Takes some time to get used to, but the bolt release is on the opposite side. What that allows us to do is to use our main hand to release it while keeping our hands away from the action. That's really nice for new shooters. A lot of times new shooters are afraid to push this button in fear that their thumb or their hand's going to get caught in the action. With this one, we just reach around, we can press it, and we don't have our hand anywhere near the closing of the action, which is nice. On the bottom side, we have a carrier release here. We just push this away, and now we're able to bring the gun back open and empty. Continuing to move forward, we have more of the kind of duo laser checkering and stippling checkering on the forend, which continues around the whole entire edge of the forend. Kind of a unique pattern, which I personally like the look of, and it also feels nice in your hands. It's not super deep checkering. It's not aggressive. It's not going to hurt your hands. You're just going to give you some grip. You're going to feel that gun nice and smooth. As we move forward, continuing on with the wood, it has kind of a unique forend area as well at the very tip of it. Kind of like a schnabel, but kind of not. It's got an area where you can kind of rest your index finger on both sides of the gun. A kind of personal preference on what you do with that, whether you hold kind of back here or more forward. And then we have the red 4M cap at the end. Now that we've kind of taken a quick look at the aesthetics of the gun, kind of the features that make it appealing from a visual perspective, let's now take a look at the mechanics of the gun and the steel components of the Fabarm L4S shotgun. So the receiver is a steel receiver. One thing that Fabarm does that very few other manufacturers do is that they proof test all of their shotguns, their over-unders, and their semi-auto at 1630 BAR, which is a very, very high pressure test of the function of the shotgun. For comparison's sake, most Berettas are tested at like 1320 BAR, which is significantly lower pressure than the standards that Fabarm puts itself up against. What that means is all their barrels are going to be ready for a steel shot, typically up to like modified or full choke. So in the event that things happen and you need to use steel, or you want to use this gun for really heavy 2 3/4 inch waterfall loads, you're not going to ever have any issues with any types of ammo in terms of the velocity, the speed, and the impact of the ammo causing a problem with the metal. We'll take a look at the gas system on this gun. Just loosen up this forend cap, and we can remove the forend. And here we have the gas system of the Fabarm L4S. All the parts are steel, really nice and big. I would consider overbuilt. It's a very, very well-engineered gun. Very simple. All of the parts, like I mentioned, are steel, as opposed to a lot of semi-automatics on the market have a lot of plastic parts in this gas piston area. It has a free-floating stainless steel piston. Some people notice when you pick up the Fabarm when it's not in battery is that piston does move. So you can see how it is free-floating. That is by design. So if you're using the gun with the action open, you may hear that piston moving. Once we close the gun, the piston is no longer moving. It's nice and tight. You're not going to hear any noise with the Fabarm L4S. The forend, which we just took off, is a super simple design, and it's actually not needed in the operation of the gun. So technically speaking, though I wouldn't recommend it, you could shoot it just the way that it is right now. There is a lock nut cap here, which locks the barrel onto the gun. Kind of serves two purposes. It keeps this mechanism connected without the need of the forend. Locks the barrel in. It also restricts the thread on this nut so that you don't have any issues threading this on. So you will want to make sure, one common thing that we have with the L4S on occasion is people that forget to put this red lock nut on before they attach the forend. That can cause some problems. The gun is designed to remove the barrel with the gun in the battery position, so it's ensure that you don't have any ammunition in the gun when you do that. And then it's easily disassembled. Just like I mentioned on the receiver, the barrel is the 1630 BAR. Very, very strong, thick barrel. It has the tri-bore technology with extra long forcing cones. Really, really good. Fabarm has a lot of technology when it comes to barrel technology, receiver technology. Really is probably the best and strongest semi-automatic barrel that you can purchase. Now that we have it disassembled, we can see again the steel piston. It's very simple, very easy to clean. Not really any hard cavities that are difficult to get carbon buildup out of, which is nice. If you compare this to like an A400 piston, you're gonna be blown away by how simple and durable this is compared to that gun. Has excess HP extended choke tubes. I believe 5 are included with the gun. It's gonna come in a hard case with a choke tube wrenched, all the Allen keys that are necessary to take the gun apart, adjust the gun. These are extended, like I mentioned, and they're made out of the same steel that the barrels are made out of, which is something that Caesar Greeny and Fabarm do for all of their guns. What that means is, as the barrel heats up, your choke tube is going to heat up, and the barrels are going to contract and expand at the very exact same rate, which is very important when it comes to choke tubes that pattern very well. Now we'll put this gun back together real quick, and we'll discuss some of the comfortability and functional pieces when it comes to how it feels in your hand, how it feels in your shoulder, stuff like that real quick. So put this barrel back on, grab the lock nut. So when it comes to semi-automatic shotguns, one of the primary reasons why people would choose a semi-auto in the first place is because they want something that's lightweight and they want something that's going to recoil minimally. The Fabarm shotgun definitely fits the build when it comes to those two key features. It's going to come with a micro-cell rubber recoil pad, which is something that Fabarm creates. It's not something that they designed in-house and applied on this gun. This particular one, and the one that's supplied on all of the standard length Fabarm semi-auto shotguns, is a 22 millimeter length. It's also available in different thicknesses if you want the gun to be a shorter length of pull or a longer length of pull, and those are pre-fit, so very simple to interchange very quickly. If you're shooting in the winter, you can put a thin pad on. Take out for the summer, you can put a longer pad on. They did that for kind of two reasons. Number one is to make it very simple for the end user to change the length of pull. That was something that was thought of by Fabarm in the development of the gun. In addition, that's done by design because the tri-wood pattern that they ink onto the gun can sometimes cause problems if you cut the stock. So if you cut the stock to get it shorter, you can get some flaking or some discoloration in the stock where you cut at. So by offering these different level recoil pads, it's giving the average user the ability to change it without having to worry about finding a very accomplished and skilled gunsmith to cut the stock without causing an issue. And, we talked about the rubber recoil pad with recoil. This gun, when compared to a lot of its competitors, is probably one of the lowest recoiling semi-automatics. Why that is, I'm not entirely sure. The recoil pad is definitely comfortable. I just think that the gas piston and the way that it operates in general does absorb a lot of recoil. I find that when I offer a person the opportunity to take this gun out and compare it with a Beretta A400, with a Browning Maxus, with some other guns, they tend to like this one the best just because of how it feels. It just is very comfortable in the shoulder, even though it's only about 7 pounds. When it comes to a semi-auto, it's probably in that light to medium weight category. There's definitely a lot that are a lot heavier. There's a few that are lighter, but not a lot. The Fabarm can be made heavier if desired by putting a kinetic recoil reducer in the stock. It's an accessory part, not supplied with the gun, but available aftermarket from Caesar Greeny or Fabarm, which allow you to kind of adjust the balance of the gun and further minimize recoil by adding that additional weight. In addition, in terms of reducing the length of pull, the Fabarm is offered in their Siren brand, which is a brand dedicated to female shooters, with significantly shorter length of pull from the factory and drop at the heel. It's also offered in a compact version, which is the same stock dimensions as the Siren, but more so not specifically tailored to the female shooter. So the compact has the red accents, virtually identical to this gun, but with the female stock dimensions. The Siren has purple accents and roses and things of that nature that really do highlight that it is a female gun. One last thing I'd like to note on the Fabarm L4S in terms of its design and build is that it has a flat rib. It's 6 millimeters in height with a center bead and a front bead, Bradley style front bead on the gun. What tends to make the gun nice in terms of semi-autos in general is the long sight plane that the semi-auto offers. Tends to be easier to shoot for beginner shooters, just because with a shorter barrel length you can get like what will be considered a 32-inch sight plane, just because of the added distance of the receiver. Also in that respect, talking barrel lengths, 30-inch tends to be the most popular for a semi-auto built specifically for sporting clays. The 30-inch semi-auto tends to be the same overall length or maybe a little longer than a 32-inch over and under. So 28 and 30 tend to be the most popular. With people looking for like a really heavyweight semi-auto, the 32-inch can be a good option. Now that we've kind of looked at different parts of the gun, kind of want to go through the gun in summary with some pros and cons. That way you can kind of get a feel for yourself whether this may or may not be the right semi-automatic shotgun for you. So in terms of pros, I would say that the number one pro, at least in my opinion, is the design of the gun. In terms of how it is engineered, there's probably no semi-automatic built for sporting clays that's as good as this one. It's strong. It's proofed for what you would expect something to be proof that's going to be used in the next World War. It is just a very, very strong built gun. The Fabarm factory probably has the latest in technology of any modern firearms manufacturer, and it really shows in how they designed this gun. Number two, I think that the looks of the gun are far superior to its alternatives, especially at this price point. What you get in terms of the tri-wood, the subtle but elegant receiver, the Forend design, just as a whole, the gun really comes together well. And in my opinion, it's probably the best looking semi-automatic for sporting clays that you can buy. Number 3, in terms of pros for this model, would be its ability to be customized. With those different recoil pads, you can adjust your length of pull. It's available in compact models. It's available in the Siren female model. It's available in left and right-handed. They kind of have it all set up for different types of people to be able to shoot this gun out of the box and to be successful and for it to fit them well. That's very unique. No other manufacturer makes semi-automatics that I'm familiar with. They give you so many options and out-of-the-box fit than this one. In terms of cons, I'd say the biggest con would probably be the tri-wood stock. Not that it's not a good stock, it's just that the tri-wood has the potential to have issues. You may be noticing this chip in the bottom of the pistol grip. It is a chip out of the tri-wood, which is not as a result of the tri-wood. It just happens with any gun in general. It probably was, jammed against the bar of a shooting station while it was being loaded or something by a novice. But there's no way to refinish this tri-wood and make it look like it used to because of the finish. The same is true if you were to, put a nick in the comb or cut the stock and have some flaking. It's just difficult to return or rejuvenate this stock or forend back to its original condition, unless you ship the gun back to Italy and have them redo it from start to finish again. That being said, it is a con. It is contingent with a lot of different guns. A lot of manufacturers offer the exact same finish on semi-automatics. Beretta, Browning, Benelli. It is a very common trend in the industry. You get a lot of great luck for the price point. And kind of the last con that I would say on this gun would be that the trigger pins are unique to the forward and the backward. They're different lengths. One is shorter than the other. And that being said, if you swap them without knowing, they can fall out or you can lose them. And also the way that they are tensioned staying in the gun, they have to be removed from one side and or the other every time. Otherwise you can put some wear on the clip that keeps those held in. So I've seen some people that are not familiar with exactly how these are removed, who have broken the clip, etc., and had issues with the pins falling out, which causes the trigger mechanism to be removed from the gun, which can be a problem. In the event that you did all those 3 aforementioned things without knowing it, and now you're at a competition and you're having issues with not being able to keep your trigger in the gun. It's a very, very small thing. It can be avoided by knowledge of how the gun works and how it can be disassembled and assembled properly. But all those things considered, I'm a big fan of the Fabarm L4S. I think that there's very, very few other guns out there that can't match it in value, in looks, in design. Just a great gun. If you haven't had the opportunity to shoot one, I recommend you do so. We have lots of demos here at Orion Outdoors Company. There's a lot of these floating around on the sporting clay circuit, so I'm sure you could find one from a friend or a friend of a friend at the next competition. Thank you so much for watching this review of the Fabarm L4S Sporting Shotgun. I really appreciate you taking the time to watch our videos. If you could please do us a huge favor and like and subscribe so that you can see more great content like this. Also, if you shoot a Fabarm L4S, we'd love to hear your feedback in the comments section. Just let us know what you think of the gun. Are there pros and cons that we missed? Thank you very much. Have a great day, and we hope to see you soon.